Do not scroll away. This is not a random message. It's not something you stumbled on by accident. What you've been crying out for, those sleepless nights when you whispered prayers through tears, those moments you dropped your head and asked, God, are you still listening? Today, your answer begins to unfold. You don't have to wait anymore. Not tomorrow. Not some distant, uncertain day. God speaks clearly. Now is the time. There's something that's been fiercely protected for you through every season. No one could steal it. No enemy could destroy it. And now, it's moving toward you, like a long-awaited promise, finding its way through every tear, every disappointment, every silent battle. God chose this moment, not because you earned it, not because you were perfect, but because you stayed, because you didn't walk away. You've asked, when, Lord? The answer is no longer words. It's reality, something you're about to touch with your own hands. Do not overlook this moment. Do not let doubt make you miss it. What you've been praying for is already beginning to open before you. Right now, heaven's plans are unfolding over your life. Not by chance, not by luck, but by divine design. Are you listening? Are you ready to receive? Because whether you realize it or not, everything you thought was forgotten, everything you thought was delayed, God has been saving it. For now, for you, you have wondered, you have wrestled, you have asked the questions no one around you could answer, but heaven heard every one of them. This moment did not appear out of nowhere. It is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is not delayed leftovers from someone else's blessing. This is the unveiling of something God Himself has been preparing for you behind the scenes, beyond your sight, through every silent night where you thought your prayers went unanswered. What you feel stirring right now is not just hope rising again. It is confirmation. Something is shifting beneath the surface of your life. Something deeper than your plans, stronger than your doubts, more certain than any fear you carried. God was never absent. God was never late. Everything that was once hidden, the breakthroughs, the healing, the opportunities you thought you had missed, none of it was lost. It was preserved, kept under lock and key by the one who knows exactly when to release what your heart has been prepared to carry. Look back, even briefly, and you will see the fingerprint of heaven scatter across the moments you thought were ordinary, the doors that slammed shut, the people who walked away, the things you prayed would happen that never did. None of it was wasted. None of it was random. All of it was part of this orchestration. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 says clearly, "To everything there's a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven." This is your time. This is your season. What you couldn't see was that while you were pacing floors and fighting doubts, heaven was arranging details too sacred to reveal prematurely. God wasn't just answering your prayers. He was crafting something custom to your calling, something tailored to fit the shape of your pain and the depth of your faith. Not mass-produced, not generic, unique, personal, intimate. That's why the waiting was so long. That's why the nights felt unbearable. That's why the silence seemed deafening. Because the gift arriving now is not fragile. It's not temporary. It's not something you'll hold for a moment and lose in the next storm. This is rooted. This is sealed. This is fortified by the same hand that held you steady through every delay. Do not mistake the quiet for God's absence. The silence was a strategy. He wasn't ignoring you. He wasn't punishing you. He was preparing you. If He had answered too soon, you would have settled for less. If He had moved too fast, you would have mishandled the weight of the blessing. If He had given you what you asked for instead of what you needed, you would have mistaken temporary relief for permanent breakthrough. Isaiah 60 verse 22 declares, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen." And now, the time is right. You didn't miss your moment. You didn't fall behind. You didn't disqualify yourself with your mistakes or your doubts or your fears. You've been held in place for such a time as this. You've been anchored so you wouldn't drift into lesser things. You've been guarded so nothing could intercept what's being placed into your life now. Listen closely. What's coming isn't just for your comfort. It's for your calling. This isn't about looking blessed on the outside. This is about aligning your spirit with heaven's agenda. This is about stepping fully into the life God has always intended for you. A life that brings Him glory. A life that carries weight in the unseen. a life that ripples into eternity. You've been prepared in the furnace of waiting. You've been refined through disappointments. You've been strengthened in silence. And now the unveiling begins. The ache you've carried is about to make sense. The prayers you whispered through tears are about to bear fruit. The quiet endurance that no one celebrated is about to echo louder than any applause. You are stepping into a shift so significant, so sacred, that no one but God could have orchestrated it. You will not need to strive. You will not need to force. You will not need to chase. What is appointed for you cannot be taken by another. What has been written over your life cannot be erased by man. What God is releasing now will recognize you because it was shaped for you. The connections will come. The opportunities will unfold. The doors will open not because of hustle, but because of divine alignment. Psalm 37 verse 23 says, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way." Your steps have been ordered. Your journey has been watched over. Your breakthrough has been preserved. Those who doubted, those who dismissed you, those who thought they held the power to delay your destiny, they are about to witness something they cannot explain, not by talent, not by connections, not by luck, but by grace. And grace needs no defense. Grace needs no justification. Grace moves mountains in silence and answers prayers with precision. The atmosphere is changing around you because heaven's hand is moving through you. Where you felt overlooked, you will now feel appointed. Where you felt forgotten, you will now feel favored. Where you felt tired from striving, you will now feel sustained by something far greater than your strength. This is not the end of your struggle. This is the beginning of your unveiling. You are not arriving late. You are arriving right on time. The waiting wasn't wasted. It was sacred preparation. The tears weren't in vain. They were watering the soil of what's now about to bloom. Galatians 6 verse 9 reminds us, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." You didn't faint. You didn't quit. You held on. And because you did, you are stepping into a harvest designed with your name written on every detail. There are things arriving now that others won't understand. Don't waste time trying to explain what God is doing. Let the evidence speak for itself. Let the fruit testify. Let the peace that settles in your soul confirm what your words could never fully express. Some will call it luck. Some will wonder how it happened so fast. But you will know. You will remember every night you stayed on your knees. Every time you chose faith over bitterness. Every battle you fought in secret. This is a reward of faithfulness, not perfection. This is the fruit of surrender, not strategy. God's hand has been upon you all along. Right now, even as you listen, something inside you knows this is true. Not because of me, not because of words on a screen, but because the Spirit of God is confirming it to your heart. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not running behind. Heaven has been orchestrating this very moment with care, with detail, with love. And now, as the doors open, as the pieces fall into place, as the breakthroughs begin to unfold, you will walk not as someone surprised, but as someone prepared. The unseen hand was never late. It was simply waiting for your readiness to meet his timing. Lift your head, straighten your shoulders, breathe deep. You've been faithful through the storm. Now watch as God proves. He was with you through it all. Nothing can stop what God has already written. No opinion, no betrayal, no delay. Heaven just overrides every earthly no. For too long, you measure your worth by doors that would not open, by people who turn away, by opportunities that slip through your fingers like sand. You thought maybe you missed it. Maybe you prayed wrong. Maybe you were forgotten. But listen clearly. Heaven does not operate by human timelines. God's delay is never his denial. The reason it felt so hard wasn't because God was punishing you. It was because he was protecting you, not from success, but from something far more dangerous, stepping into something too soon, carrying a weight you weren't yet fortified to bear. Isaiah 14 verse 27 declares, "For the Lord of hosts has purposed, and who will annul it? His hand is stretched out, and who will turn it back? No one, no circumstance, no mistake. What God has set in motion cannot be reversed by man. And now the time has arrived. Your season of hiddenness served a purpose. While others rushed ahead, grabbing what glittered, you sat in what felt like obscurity. You stayed faithful when faithfulness seemed foolish. You kept believing when results said otherwise. And heaven took note. You see, God doesn't build on shaky foundations. He doesn't elevate for show. He roots deeply. He strengthens quietly. He watches for consistency, not applause. The doors opening now are not random. They are assigned. What was blocked before is unlocking, not because you forced it, but because the time appointed has finally collided with your preparation. You're not who you were when you started praying. You've grown. You've matured. You've let God refine what no one else saw. Your motives, your heart, your endurance. This is why what's coming won't break you. This is why you won't lose it like you feared. It was never withheld to hurt you. It was withheld to ensure you could hold it without crumbling beneath its weight. Psalm 31 verse 15 says, "My times are in your hands." Every moment, every delay, every tear, all counted, all seen, all used. What people thought they delayed in your life, God preserved. What they overlooked in you, God was fortifying. What they shut you out of, God was reserving. And now, you are stepping into fulfillment, not by accident, but by design. You no longer need to chase what was never meant for you. You no longer need to force what God has already prepared. You no longer need to fear being passed over. What's appointed will find you. What's destined will recognize you. There's a shift unfolding even now. Atmospheres are adjusting. Circumstances are bending. Not because you changed tactics, but because God said, now. When heaven speaks, creation responds. When God declares it ready, nothing can stand in the way. Not the delays, not the betrayals, not the mistakes, not even your past. This is not about revenge. This is not about proving people wrong. This is about divine timing meeting divine purpose. Romans 8 verse 28 reminds us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Even the silence worked for your good. Even the doors that refused you were working for your good. Even the seasons that stripped you of pride, of dependency on people, of shallow connections. They were working for your good. You are now positioned not by popularity, but by purpose. Not by favor from man, but by favor from heaven. The breakthroughs will seem sudden to others. The shift will look overnight. But you will know. You will remember the prayers through tears. The nights you couldn't sleep but still whispered, God, I trust you. The mornings you showed up when everything in you wanted to give up. You didn't just survive the waiting. You were being shaped by it. And now you stand stronger, wiser, humbler, and more ready than you realize. What's opening isn't just a door. It's a new dimension of living, a new depth of faith, a new understanding of what it means to walk with God when no one else understands why you keep holding on. Job 42 verse 2 says, I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. What's arriving isn't fragile favor that can be snatched away. This is anchored in eternal hands. This is sealed by promises spoken over your life before you took your first breath. The world sees results. Heaven sees resilience. The world counts wins. Heaven counts faithfulness. And because you stayed faithful in the silence, you are about to see the fruit in the light. Don't be surprised when people try to reconnect. Don't be surprised when they ask, how did this happen for you? They won't understand. They didn't see the roots growing in unseen soil. They didn't feel the nights of surrender. They didn't hear the quiet conversations between your spirit and the Spirit of God. But you'll know. You'll smile not with pride, but with peace. Not with arrogance, but with assurance. Because you've seen what God can do with someone who refuses to let go, even when letting go would have been easier. Psalm 27 verse 14 commands, wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. You waited. You endured. You trusted. And now the harvest begins. Not everyone will celebrate. Some will question. Some will criticize. But none of it matters now. The assignment on your life wasn't placed by man, so it cannot be removed by man. What's being released now will carry its own proof. The fruit will speak louder than words. The peace will speak louder than explanations. And this is only the beginning. What seems big now will look small compared to what's still unfolding. This isn't the climax. It's the doorway. You're stepping into more than answered prayers. You're stepping into alignment with your Creator's intention. Doors will open not just for you, but through you. Others will find their faith again because they watched you wait well. Others will believe again because they saw you refuse bitterness. 2 Corinthians 9 verse 8 assures us, and God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you'll abound in every good work. Abundance isn't always about more things. It's about more peace, more clarity, more purpose, and all of it is flowing now because heaven said, enough waiting, now is the time. Lift your eyes. This is not the end of struggle, but it is the end of striving. You no longer have to prove yourself. You no longer have to force the outcome. You no longer have to chase what was already written for you to walk into. God is clearing paths, aligning people, removing obstacles, not because you prayed perfectly, but because He's faithful to His word. There are seasons in life where God hides you on purpose, not because you aren't worthy, not because you aren't ready, but because what He's building in you cannot survive premature exposure. What you walked through wasn't punishment. It was preparation. What you've endured was a rejection. It was refinement. What felt like delay was really protection. In the dark places, in the quiet places, when no one was watching, that's where heaven was working most. Psalm 139 verse 12 says, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. Your hidden season wasn't hidden from God. It was hidden in God. He was growing roots in secret, so you would not be shaken in public. He was strengthening muscles you didn't know you needed: endurance, patience, discernment, resilience. He was shaping your heart to carry what's now about to unfold. In the dark, you learn how to hear His whisper above the noise of fear. In the dark, you learn how to trust when there were no signs. In the dark, you learn that faith isn't a feeling, it's a decision. What's about coming to the light didn't start today. It started in the nights you wanted to quit, but didn't. It started in the mornings you chose prayer over panic. It started in the moments no one applauded, no one noticed, but heaven did. Galatians 6 verse 9 remind you again, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. You didn't give up. You held on when everything inside said, let go. You kept showing up with a heart open to God's will, even when His silence made no sense. And now, the time of unveiling has come. What He formed in secret is about to speak loudly. What He shaped in private is about to manifest in public. And you won't have to prove it's real. The fruit will do the talking. The shift happening in your life isn't random. It's been written. It isn't luck. It's alignment. It isn't man-made. It's heaven sent. Isaiah 45 verse 3 says, I will give you hidden treasures, riches stored in secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord. You are stepping into promises stored up, blessings preserved, opportunities protected until now, not because you earned them, not because you chased them down, but because you trusted when it would have been easier to turn away. The doors opening are not just about you stepping into rooms you once only dreamed of. They're about heaven displaying what obedience looks like after the waiting. Not rushed, not desperate, not striving. Rested, ready, rooted. Others may ask, how did this happen? They won't see the years of quiet faith. They won't see the nights of silent tears. They won't understand the countless prayers that ended with, nevertheless, Lord, I trust you. But you'll know, you'll remember, and you'll give glory where glory is due, to the one who saw fit to prepare you in the dark so He could reveal you in the light. Psalm 37 verse 7 says, be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. You waited. You were still. You learned the value of patience birthed through pressure. This is why the release feels different now. It's not frantic. It's peaceful. It's not forced. It's flowing. Heaven is aligning what no man could arrange. Resources are finding you. Opportunities are being drawn to you. Doors are swinging open, not by effort, but by divine instruction. Because when God says now, no one can stop it. Not fear, not doubt, not even you. You have been prepared for this moment, not through applause, but through fire, not through shortcuts, but through process, not through comfort, but through surrender. This is the fruit of every hidden yes. This is the evidence of every quiet obedience. And it's only just beginning. The atmosphere is shifting because you've shifted. You've grown roots that cannot be shaken. You built a foundation that storms can no longer crack. The blessings arriving now will not feel foreign. They will feel like home. Not because you manipulated the outcome, but because God orchestrated the timing. Isaiah 55 verse 11 declares, "So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it." His word over your life is unfolding, not delayed, not diminished, fulfilled, on time. The prayers you thought fell flat were seeds planted deep. The tears you thought were wasted were watering your future. Everything hidden in God's timing is now coming to light in God's way, and no one can take credit but Him. Lift your eyes, straighten your faith, step forward without hesitation. This is the moment heaven says, now. The doors that are opening before you now were never locked to keep you out. They were locked to keep you safe. Safe from premature access. Safe from counterfeit opportunities. Safe from stepping through something before your spirit was prepared to handle the weight of the blessing behind it. You spent years thinking, maybe it's not for me. You wondered if others were chosen while you were overlooked. You questioned, deep down where no one could see, if you had somehow missed your moment. But hear this truth clearly now. Heaven does not forget what it promises. Revelation 3 verse 8 says, "See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." No one, not people, not circumstances, not your past, not even your own doubts. The doors opening now were always yours. They had your name written on them long before you learned how to pray for them. They were set apart for you before your tears hit the ground. You didn't arrive late. You arrived ready. The timing was never punishment. It was preparation. What you thought was rejection was redirection. What you thought was failure was protection. Because God knew what you needed far better than you did. And what He's unlocking now is far greater than what you thought you wanted then. This is why it felt so heavy to wait. Because what's arriving isn't small. It's significant. It isn't fragile. It's fortified. It isn't temporary. It's eternal. Psalm 84 verse 11 reminds you, no good thing will He withhold from those who walk uprightly. He hasn't withheld anything out of cruelty. He has preserved everything out of love. The doors you're stepping through now have been guarded for such a time as this. You are not walking into luck. You are walking into legacy. What you're about to touch isn't just a blessing for your comfort. It's a key for generations to come. What you're stepping into now isn't just about answered prayers. It's about assignments unfolding, kingdom purposes being revealed, lives beyond your own being impacted. Heaven is strategic. Every delay had design. Every no was leading you to this yes. This is why others couldn't take your place. Why doors remained closed until you arrived. Why opportunities seemed to bypass you. Because they were being shaped for you, not stolen from you. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." You are stepping into the manifestation of plans you couldn't see but trusted in the dark. And now, what you once only hoped for becomes what you live in. Opportunities will come, not because you chase them, but because you align with God's timing. Connections will form, not because you network perfectly, but because heaven ordered your steps. You'll find yourself standing in rooms you didn't lobby to enter, receiving favor from people you didn't pursue, because the doors opening now answer to heaven's agenda, not man's permission. And nothing can reverse what God has decreed over your life. Romans 11 verse 29 says, "For God's gifts and His call are irrevocable." You are walking into what was always meant for you, not because of perfection, not because of performance, but because of His faithfulness to finish what He started. Look around. What seemed impossible is aligning. What seemed unlikely is unfolding. What seemed delayed is arriving right on time. Because when heaven says now, no force on earth can say no. You're not chasing blessings. Blessings are chasing you. You're not forcing doors. Doors are recognizing you. You're not striving to prove yourself. Heaven is proving what obedience looks like. Stay humble. Stay grounded. Stay anchored in the one who opened these doors. This is not the time to shrink back. This is not the season to doubt your place. You've been called. You've been chosen. You've been prepared for this. 1 Corinthians 2 verse 9 says, "No eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no human heart has conceived the things God has prepared for those who love Him." What's ahead exceeds imagination. What's opening surpasses expectation, because it's heaven's doing. And heaven does nothing halfway. The doors opening now will lead you deeper into purpose. They will expand your reach. They will stretch your faith. They will demand more of your surrender. But don't be afraid. You've been fortified for this. You've been trained in the quiet. You've been strengthened through the struggle. What's before you now requires boldness, not fear. Obedience, not explanation. Faith, not control. Step forward. Step fully. Step freely. Because heaven's yes is louder than earth's doubts. There is no earthly force strong enough to cancel what heaven has already appointed. No opinion. No betrayal. No opposition. No failure of your past. When God writes something over your life, it is sealed beyond the reach of man. What He appoints, He also protects. What He promises, He also preserves. For too long, you allowed temporary circumstances to convince you that permanent promises have been revoked. But hear this truth clearly. Heaven does not revoke what it appoints. Isaiah 46 verse 10 says, "My purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please." Your purpose has not been canceled. Your calling has not been forfeited. Your assignment has not been reassigned. You are still marked for fulfillment. You are still destined for breakthrough. You are still chosen for impact. What you thought was stolen was only delayed. What you thought was blocked was only being rerouted to arrive at the right time. Every delay carried a purpose. Every closed door was a protection. Every no was leading you to a better yes. Because what God ordains cannot be undone by circumstance or sabotaged by others. What's unfolding now in your life is proof. The enemy tried to discourage you with silence, tried to distract you with detours, tried to dismantle your confidence with lies. But you stayed. You endured. You trusted when it made no sense to trust. And now, heaven is moving what man said was impossible. Now, God is revealing what eyes could not see and hearts could not conceive. Psalm 33 verse 11 reminds us, "But the plans of the Lord stand firm forever, the purposes of His heart through all generations." Your destiny stands firm. Your assignment is intact. Your future is unfolding according to a plan far greater than your fears. You don't need everyone to understand. You don't need everyone to agree. You only need to keep walking in step with the one who appointed you. Doors will open not because you force them, but because they were appointed for you. Opportunities will come not because you earned them, but because they were aligned with your purpose. Favor will find you. Blessings will locate you. Provision will meet you at the place of your obedience. Not because of luck, not because of coincidence, but because God is faithful to His word. Numbers 23:19 says, "God is not human, that He should lie, not a human being, that He should change His mind. Does He speak and then not act? Does He promise and not fulfill? If He spoke it, it will happen. If He promised it, it will come to pass. If He ordained it, nothing can cancel it." You've wondered if you missed it. You've questioned if it's too late. You've doubted if you still qualify. But God says, "What I appoint, no one can cancel." This is your time. This is your moment. This is the unfolding of what was always meant for you. Do not shrink back now. Do not second guess what's being placed in front of you. Do not sabotage this season with fear or insecurity. Walk boldly. Walk confidently. Walk knowing that heaven backs your steps. What's arriving now is not random favor. It's appointed fulfillment. What's shifting now is not accidental. It's divine alignment. The people who counted you out are about to witness what counting on God truly looks like. The voices that said it couldn't happen are about to be silenced by the evidence unfolding in your life. This is not about revenge. This is not about proving others wrong. This is about proving God right. Your life is a living testimony that what God appoints, no one can cancel. Psalm 20 verse 4 says, "May He give you the desire of your heart and make all your plans succeed." Heaven's plans are succeeding in your life right now, not despite the delays, but because of them, not despite the closed doors, but because of them. Everything is aligning not by force, but by faith, not by striving, but by surrender. You are stepping into promises that were preserved for this very hour. What seemed stagnant is now moving. What seemed impossible is now manifesting. What seemed distant is now within reach. Because God said it, because God appointed it, because heaven will finish what it started. What God is placing into your hands in this season is not fragile. It is not temporary. It is not built on shaky ground. What you are receiving now has been fortified through fire, tested in trials, strengthened in storms. This is not a fleeting breakthrough. This is a permanent establishment. What is arriving in your life has longevity. It will not crumble when the winds rise again. It will not disappear when the next storm clouds gather. Because what God gives, He secures. What He ordains, He protects. What He releases, He strengthens to endure. Matthew 7 verse 25 says, "And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. But it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock." You are not standing on sand anymore. You are standing on something solid, built not by the hands of men, but by the faithfulness of God. That's why this season feels different. That's why the doors opening now don't bring fear, but bring peace. Because you know you didn't force them. Because you know God Himself established them. He isn't giving you fragile favor. He's giving you fortified faith. He isn't placing you in a temporary position. He's planting you in a place where your roots will run deep. The blessings arriving now have been designed to withstand, to outlast the shaking, to endure the pressure, to survive the next wave of uncertainty. Because heaven's gifts are never shallow. Heaven's doors are never unstable. Heaven's plans are never shaken by storms. You're stepping into something secure, something solid, something that others won't understand. But you will know is worth every tear, every prayer, every moment of waiting. Psalm 125 verse 1 declares, "Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved, but abides forever." You are stepping into an abiding promise, not a passing opportunity, not a fleeting success. Abiding, remaining, rooted, because what's been built in you is stronger now. Your faith is unshaken. Your hope is unmovable. Your spirit is anchored deeper than it's ever been. You won't fear the storm anymore because you know who commands it. You won't fear loss because you've learned where your true security lies. You won't fear change because you've seen the faithfulness of the one who never changes. This is a season where what you carry will no longer be shaken by outside forces, where what you possess will no longer feel threatened by what comes against you, because God is placing within your reach things meant to last, blessings built to endure, favor that will outlast opposition, opportunities that will stand even when others fall. 1 Peter 5 verse 10 says, "And after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will Himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you." You are being established, not just blessed, not just favored, established. And what's established by God cannot be uprooted by man. What's fortified by heaven cannot be weakened by circumstances. What's given through grace cannot be stolen through fear. You will not lose this. You will not watch it slip through your fingers. You will not have to fight to keep what God placed in your life, because He gave it, and He secures what He gives. You can rest now. You can trust now. You can walk forward without wondering if the ground beneath you will give way. Psalm 16 verse 8 says, "I have set the Lord always before me. Because He is at my right hand, I shall not be shaken." You are unshaken because He holds you steady. You are unshaken because His plans never fail. You are unshaken because your foundation is no longer fear. It's faith. And faith is stronger now because it's been tested. Hope is brighter now because it's been through the night. Peace is deeper now because it's been found in the storm. What you're receiving now will not fade. What's being opened now will not close. What's unfolding now will not collapse. Because it's not built on the approval of man. It's built on the appointment of God. This is your time. Not just to enter in, but to remain. Not just to receive, but to sustain. You've spent so much of your life feeling like you were far away from the answer. Like you were distant from the breakthrough. Like you were somehow behind everyone else. But the truth is, you were never as far as you thought. Heaven's timing isn't measured by how things look on the outside. God's nearness isn't determined by your emotions. His plan for you is unfolding even in the moments you felt most forgotten. Acts 17 verse 27 says, God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. He was never far. The breakthrough was never delayed. The appointed time was always closer than your feelings told you. You've walked through seasons where you wondered, is this really going to happen? Am I really on the path God promised? The silence felt heavy. The waiting felt endless. But heaven wasn't standing still. God was aligning things behind the scenes. He was positioning people. He was preparing provision. He was orchestrating outcomes beyond your ability to predict. What's unfolding now isn't sudden. It's been slowly, steadily moving toward you, even when you couldn't see it, even when you doubted it was real. Habakkuk 2 verse 3 says, though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. The delay wasn't distance. The silence wasn't absence. It was preparation for the fullness of the moment you're stepping into now. What's shifting in your life proves how close you've always been. Closer to clarity, closer to fulfillment, closer to breakthrough. Every step you thought was wasted brought you here. Every no you thought closed doors directed you here. Every tear you cried in frustration watered the soil for this very moment. You were never running behind. You were right on time. Even in your confusion, God was not confused. Even in your wandering, God was guiding. You are closer now than you've ever been to the fullness of what's been promised. Not because you finally figured it out. Not because you finally prayed the right prayer, but because heaven's timing is unfolding exactly as it was written. The signs are clear. The doors are opening. The people are aligning. The opportunities are appearing. Not by accident, not by coincidence, by divine design. Psalm 145 verse 18 reminds you, the Lord is near to all who call on him, to all who call on him in truth. He heard you, he answered you. And now you see the evidence. You don't need to doubt anymore. You don't need to question if you're close. The proof is in the opening. The confirmation is in the clarity. What's arriving now affirms what your spirit always knew, but your mind struggled to believe. You were never as far away as it seemed. You're stepping into promises prepared long before your doubt arrived. You're stepping into favor secured long before your fear spoke. You're stepping into fulfillment designed long before you felt qualified. God doesn't operate on feelings. He operates on faithfulness. And his faithfulness has been working in your favor all along. You've been waiting for proof. Proof that God heard you. Proof that your prayers weren't wasted. Proof that the pain had a purpose. But heaven never forgot your petitions. The answers were never withheld out of punishment. They were being prepared to arrive in fullness, in a way you could never mistake for coincidence. The evidence you longed for was never denied. It was simply appointed for a time when you would be ready to receive it without fear, without doubt, without needing man's validation. Jeremiah 1 verse 12 says, I am watching over my word to perform it. God has been watching your faith through the waiting, watching your heart through the hardship, watching your surrender through the silence. He has not been distant. He has been deliberate. The answers have been moving steadily toward you, carried by unseen hands, wrapped in divine timing. What's unfolding now is not random. It's the arrival of what's been on the way all along. You prayed for provision. It's coming. You asked for clarity. It's unfolding. You waited for breakthrough. It's here. The evidence was never delayed. It was developing in hidden places, gathering strength, accumulating momentum, aligning with your readiness. Isaiah 55 verse 11 reminds you, so is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it. What God spoke over your life is now manifesting before your eyes, not because you forced it, not because you earned it, because it was always written to arrive. The people who doubted will soon see. The ones who dismissed you will soon wonder, but you won't need to explain. The fruit will speak louder than words. You'll walk through doors no one thought would open. You'll receive opportunities no one thought were possible. You'll step into places you never imagined, not because of luck, but because of alignment. This is a season where heaven makes visible what you believed in secret. This is a season where the evidence speaks louder than the waiting ever did. Psalm 37 verses 5 to 6 says, "Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will do this. He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun." Your reward is shining now. Your vindication is unfolding, not in whispers, but in undeniable clarity. What's being revealed now confirms what heaven always knew about you. You were faithful. You were steadfast. You trusted through the unknown. And now, the evidence arrives to honor your endurance, not because you earned it, because God is faithful. You thought you were chasing answers. You thought you were searching for breakthrough. You thought you were running towards something you couldn't quite reach. But the truth is, God was always ahead of you. What felt like delay was divine orchestration. What seemed like silence was strategic preparation. You were never trying to catch up. You were simply walking toward what was already waiting for you. Isaiah 45 verse 2 says, "I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of bronze and cut the bars of iron." God went before you. He cleared paths you didn't even know were blocked. He removed obstacles you couldn't see coming. He prepared people and places to receive you before you even asked. You thought you were late, but you've been on time for his timeline all along. Every no was him redirecting your feet. Every closed door was him protecting your future. Every detour was him leading you closer to the right destination. You see, heaven operates from completion backward. The outcome was settled before your prayer was spoken. The provision was secured before you knew you had the need. The breakthrough was written into your story before the struggle began. Proverbs 16 verse 9 says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." He established your steps long before you worried about your pace. He marked your moments long before you questioned your direction. He secured your future long before you feared it slipping through your fingers. The reason things are unfolding now is not because you finally got it right. It's because God has always been ahead of you, waiting for the time to align. He positioned people in advance. He aligned opportunities before you even noticed them on the horizon. He whispered yes where others said no, long before you understood why. You spent nights wondering if you missed your chance. You've carried days where hope felt thin and answers felt distant. But heaven was always ahead. And now, what was hidden is being revealed. What's opening now was settled long ago. What's arriving now was prepared in advance. What's unfolding now proves God's been working ahead of you all this time. Psalm 139 verse 5 says, "You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me." Behind you, covered. Before you, cleared. Around you, secured. You don't need to fear missing out. You don't need to fear falling behind. You don't need to fear being overlooked. Heaven's plans don't operate on deadlines. They operate on divine timing. And now, your timing has arrived. The paths are clearing. The doors are opening. The opportunities are aligning because God went ahead, because God stayed ahead, because God is ahead. This was never about chance, never about luck, never about coincidence. From the very beginning, heaven wrote this ending into your story, before the struggle, before the waiting, before the nights you thought you wouldn't survive. This breakthrough, this fulfillment, this joy that is now unfolding, it was always part of the plan. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." This is that future. This is that hope. This is the unveiling of everything God whispered over your life before the world even knew your name. You've come through the fire. You've walked through the valley. You've survived the storms. And now, you are standing in the evidence of promises kept. You thought the process would break you, but it built you. You thought the waiting would defeat you, but it strengthened you. You thought the silence meant denial, but it was preparation for a blessing bigger than you imagined. Heaven never lost sight of you. Heaven never changed its mind about you. Heaven never forgot what it spoke over you. What unfolding now is a fulfillment of prayers prayed in tears, of faith held through doubt, of trust maintained through trials. This was never about speed. It was always about alignment. God wasn't rushing to meet your expectations. He was aligning you to receive something beyond them. Romans 8 verse 28 reminds you. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Even the hardest moments were working for your good. Even the deepest losses were shaping something better. Even the detours were bringing you closer. And now, the good you waited for is here. Not just because you waited, but because you believed. You believed when there was no evidence. You believed when the outcome seemed impossible. You believed when every voice said give up. And now, heaven honors that belief of fulfillment. This is not the end of the journey, but it is the end of the doubt. The end of questioning whether God is faithful. The end of wondering if your prayers mattered. The end of feeling forgotten. Because you see now, you were never forgotten. You were always seen. You were always loved. You were always held. Psalm 23 verse 6 says, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Goodness is following you now. Mercy is covering you now. Blessings are surrounding you now. Not because you're perfect, because you're positioned in God's promise. You've been through enough to know this isn't random. You've endured enough to recognize God's hand when you see it. You've trusted long enough to know that when heaven says yes, no one can say no. And now, you're walking in a yes that cannot be reversed. Lift your head. Take your place. Receive what's been waiting for you all along. This isn't just the end of a hard season. This is the beginning of a life aligned with heaven's best. You will testify of this moment. You will tell others how God proved himself again. You will carry the story as a banner of faith for those still waiting. Because this isn't just about you. It's about the faithfulness of God made visible through your life.